Okay, we're going to try this for a third time. This is our Chapter 18 Milk Notes. We will cover milk and then have a quiz. We will cover cheese and then have a quiz, and then we will have a test over both of those together. So it has always been said that we should be drinking milk. It does a body good. The serving recommendations has been 3 a day. They changed that a little bit now to say 3 cups a day. And if you go on the Choose My Plate website, it will tell you not only how much you need to be drinking or having milk for your age group, but they also kind of define what classifies a serving of milk. So, because we call it 3 cups of milk, and that's not necessarily like a cup of milk. A lot of times when we have a glass of milk, we have more like 16 ounces. And so this is saying 3 cups is average for about your age, but it also says what counts as a cup, like not just a cup of milk, but also a cup of yogurt, how much cheese counts as a cup of milk, etc. The 2 main minerals in milk are phosphorus and calcium, which work together to make your bones strong. We often hear about calcium, but we forget that phosphorus is important as well. If you are not getting enough calcium in your diet, the severe result is you could get osteoporosis. And most of the time we see osteoporosis in the elderly population, and we see the outward effects of it. A lot of times what people don't realize is what the inward effect is. And so this is a healthy bone. This is a bone that has osteoporosis. And as you see, your body starts to feed on your bone, and the holes in your bone get larger and larger. It's feeding on the calcium in your bones. And so make sure that you are getting enough calcium. Actually, if you don't drink milk, vegetables will give you just as much calcium. Broccoli, in fact, has as much, if not more, calcium per cup than milk. But if you are relying on dairy to be your calcium source, make sure you're getting enough in your diet. If you are following along with your guided notes, please remember number 5, you need to change that from saying the 7 vitamins in milk to the 7 nutrients in milk, because these listed are not all vitamins. So the first 3 are vitamins: riboflavin, thiamine, and niacin. Those are the B vitamins we discussed also in the grains chapter. They are important for energy, digestion, appetite, healthy appearance. If you ever notice that you're feeling cold often, like your hands and feet maybe fall asleep, the circulation is poor, you're very tired, that could possibly be a B vitamin deficiency. So just make sure you're aware of that. Vitamin A, we've also talked about already when we talked about the orange, yellow and orange, specifically orange though, fruits and vegetables like carrots or sweet potatoes or pumpkins. You get vitamin A. But dairy is also a good source as well, and that can help with lots of things. One of the things we hear often is help with night blindness, which is seeing in the dark, but there are other benefits of vitamin A. Vitamin D works with calcium and phosphorus to make your bones strong. The non-food source of vitamin D is the sunlight. But a deficiency in vitamin D can lead to rickets. And if you Google that, some of the images are really hard to look at. Here is more of a, here's a little bit more of a tolerable image. But whereas osteoporosis is your bones breaking down over time, rickets is more of your bones not forming properly. This is one of the reasons that our whole milk that we give to young children is fortified with vitamin D to help with that bone formation. So we don't see that as much in the United States. Protein does make your muscles strong and repairs your muscles. Milk is a good source of protein. It has about 8 grams per cup, no matter what kind of you're drinking. And then carbs, the carbohydrate in milk is lactose. That is the sugar in milk. And we discussed lactose intolerance. Remember, that is your body not being able to break down lactose. Your intestines lack the enzyme lactase, which is what breaks it down. So it acts kind of like essentially like a rock in your system, which can cause very unpleasant cramping, diarrhea, constipation, lots of uncomfortableness. Most people with lactose intolerance can tolerate a little bit of milk, like a half a cup or a cup, but some people will say they can't tolerate it all. A lot of people with lactose intolerance can also eat yogurt, but again, other people will say they can't. Now, remember, we discussed in class the controversies over milk. and how a lot of, especially the vegetarian community, will argue that we shouldn't be drinking milk. The nutrients in milk we can get from plant sources like fruits and veggies, and that milk, we are the only species that drinks milk past infancy, and we are the only species that drinks milk from another species. And so I did say there's articles and research about that. Here's an example. Again, it's driven by usually a vegetarian community, but I just found it really interesting. I'm not pushing one way or another on this argument, but if you want to read more about it, here is a website you could go to. Also, this is WebMD saying what lactose intolerance is, the symptoms, the signs. The reason I put this on here is because a lot of times symptoms of lactose intolerance do not show up until teenage or adult years. So you may just be now showing symptoms of lactose intolerance and might need to talk to your doctor. And the very last thing in this part is fat. Milk does contain fat. Even skim milk, although it's listed as 0 grams on the label, contains up to 0.5 gram of fat per serving, which is actually good because those vitamins A and D are fat-soluble vitamins, and that helps, that little bit of fat kind of helps carry those vitamins around in your body and have them do what they need to do. All right, that is part 1 of our milk notes. Hopefully it records for you this time. Make sure you follow and watch parts 2 and 3 as well.